Hey everyone, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. I have a very kind and wonderful person here on the podcast as my guest co-host, a listener to the show, which makes me so happy. And I can't wait to find out how my guest co-host even found my show. It can be a great story. I can just anticipate it already. If you love sports, if you love hearing about great students pursuing their dreams through sports, you found the best new podcast that you were going to fall in love with. Rafael's with me, and we're going to be talking about his show and all things podcasting. Welcome. So glad to have you here. How are you?
Yay!
Yay, we did it.
Happy. Yeah, we did it. Happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dave. Wow. Can't believe
It's
it. I'm here.
exciting to have you here. And when you reached out to tell me about your new podcast and to let me know that somehow I had a small part in you starting your show, I told everybody. And I shared it with my wife, and she's like, how amazing is that? That you now have somebody who's listened to your show, has their own podcast, and then I get to press play on your podcast. And I love your show and I love everything you do. Tell everybody about your podcast, the name of your show, what it's about, all that great stuff. Let us know.
Thank you. Well, my podcast is called Student Outlet Podcast. Student Outlet Spotlight. Student Outlet Spotlight is a weekly podcast. It goes on air every Thursday, and it's about student outlets in college. It could be from freshman to senior year. And the idea is for them to have the opportunity to share experiences since they were little, how they were introduced in that specific sport. Some of them have two sports. So how did they start it? And how was their process during middle school, high school, and then the recruiting process going to college? How they found the scholarships and how are they doing in college life? So it's very exciting because every story is different. They have a different process. So it's the reason of our the Student Outlet Spotlight podcast.
I love it. Okay, so where did the idea come from? Like you woke up one day and said, I want to become a podcaster and I know what I'm going to talk about. Is that how it happened?
Well, probably like 2 years ago, I started listening to podcasts, right? And then I just like the idea that I was able to listen to some topics that I'm interested into, and that I can listen whenever I want. I don't have to like. In the past, we have to wait for some specific show in the radio or TV at their time. So podcast is totally different because I can share. I can pick when I want to hear it, right? And then I really love how people from different part of the world can listen to each other and learn about specific topics. So about the sport, I have a son that is in college. Actually, he's a senior right now, and then I work with him in the process of becoming a student outlets in the States. So I'm from Puerto Rico, in the Caribbean, and then he's in the States. So, like I mentioned, he's a senior right now. But then we went through the process to finding the right school for him. Like 2 years ago, I started getting the idea, or a year, I should say, the idea. I said, well, I would like to have the opportunity for students to share their experiences. And then I mentioned to my son, I said, yeah, you can do that. And here's the thing, I'm getting out of my comfort zone because English is not my first language.
First of all, you sound amazing, just so you know. You sound great.
Thank you. But, you have to go out of your comfort zone to do some things, different things, right? And then I said, I can do this. And then I found your show, because at the time I didn't do anything about it. But then I found your show, and I don't think I have the unique or correct answer. I don't remember how exactly I found you.
Okay.
But then the system, right, gave you like ideas, different podcasts, probably according to what I was listening to, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that I wrote something about trying to get answers from how to do a podcast. And the first one was yours. It was just like, right, pop up. I had a podcast and I said, Wow, I think this is the good one. And let me just start to listen, and then I started listening to yours.
Wow.
So like probably 6 months after that, I said to myself, I'm gonna launch my podcast.
Nice.
I think I can do this. I've been listening to Dave. I think that what I have right now, I can do it. And then I remember that you said you cannot wait to know everything to start doing not just the podcast, but to do anything. You cannot. We're not gonna know everything.
Right.
So we keep learning in the process, right?
Mhm.
And then I was thinking about, oh my God, what do I need? What kind of equipment and everything? And then I remember you saying, start with your cell phone. And then
Right.
I went to Spotify. All the podcasts that I was listening to, they were at Spotify, and they said, "Oh, this is free. This is great. This is better. I think this is the one." And then I started and I opened an account and everything, the email and the logo. I started searching for how to make the logo, the trailer, and I I just said, okay, August 25th, this is the time. And then I remember you also saying, when you have the day of date to start your podcast, be sure to have like a 2 months, if I'm not mistaken, minimum 2 months of recording. Otherwise, you can go and have what's the word? Pod fade?
Pod fade. Very good. Yep.
Pod fade. And then I learned that from you.
See.
And I was like, okay, let me just, when I have at least 2 months of recording, and then I'm going to launch it. And then I started sending invitation to different students. And I have to say that my son talked to some other friends from
Good.
college,
Good.
and that other friend called another friend, and so and so. And then I have 2 months of recording, and then we launch it. And
Nice.
then we covered the rest of the first season, which is almost a semester. And then we were done the first season, and it went just like that, very
See?
very fast.
A great podcast, Rafael. I love your
Oh,
show.
thank
I
you,
really
thank you.
do.
Very good, very good. I also remember listening to your show that there was something that really inspired me and saying, I don't need like a big room or soundproof or anything. You have a guy that started his podcast in a van,
Right.
and he mentioned something about the Jetty, which is a
The blue.
microphone,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
the Blue Jetty,
Yeah.
whatever. Wow, that was something that I was like in a van. He started the
Yeah.
podcast in a van. So, oh my God, I have a room. I can do this. I have an empty room.
Right.
Yeah, and then you also mentioned something about the pen with the push button. Don't use it because it can start doing some noise.
Click, 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 click. Right.
Click,
Yep.
click, click. And then at the beginning, well, I was kind of nervous at first, right? And I remember once I did it just once, and I said, "Oh no, no, Dave is not gonna like this. Let me
No.
just put it away, put
Yeah.
it away."
All my pens have no clicks, so I have no way to
Right.
click my. Yeah. So that's
Right,
that's good.
right. And then you also have a co-host from Brazil, Paulo
Yes.
sent you an email
Yeah.
also. And I said, wait a minute, I can send him an email also. I can do this. I can do this.
It's
And
crazy.
then you have a woman from England. I
Yes.
think that she's been in the show like 3 times by now.
Tamsin Hall. Yep.
Tamsin Hall, yeah. That's the one. That's the
Yep.
one. So those are the one that I remember. But it really helped me to say, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. It
So
was great.
when you reached out to me, Raphael, did you think that I would respond, or did you think it was like it's not real that he's really going to respond? Did you have any question about that?
Well, here's the thing. I sent my email back in August, right? And then I didn't have any idea how long it will take, to get an answer, to be honest. But then it was 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, and it was at the end of October, and I was like, I know he is kind of busy, but how busy can he be? Trying to get, not to answer my email. And then I was driving, and I started listening to one of your episodes going back home. And then you mentioned something about the address, the email address of your podcast. And then something clicked in my mind. I said, wait a minute, that's the email, but I think there's something missing in the one that I sent. So I stopped and in a gas station or something. I pull over and I said, let me check the email when I sent this. And then I found out that the email was correct at the beginning, but at the end it wasn't the correct address. Something for podcast or something. I can't remember right now, actually. And then I said, "Oh my God, I sent it to the wrong address." And then right at that moment, I resend it because I didn't want to start reading it again. I said, "Let me just resend it." And then I resend it, and then you get back to me that same night.
See, there we go. We did it.
I was at home. Yeah, I was at home probably 3-4 hours after that.
Wow. And
then I found out that I said, let me see about if I have any answer. And then you were, oh my God, you were there.
Well, I'm glad we made that happen. I'm sorry for the delay. Wow.
No, but it wasn't your fault. I sent it to the wrong one. Yeah. And that email never got back to me. So I don't know what happened, but here we are.
Well, you didn't give up on me, Rafael. So thank you for not giving up, right? I'm thankful that you stopped and you sent that email because that's really important, I think, for you and your show. As listeners now reach out to you in the future and go, I love your show. I love that interview you did with that person was great. Family and friends reach out and said, thank you for having my daughter on your podcast. Like when you start getting feedback, it's very important that we respond and stay in touch and be a real, genuine, nice human being. We need to be a nice person, right? As we get these responses, because then your audience then sees you responding to a listener and go, well, he did it for Paolo. Maybe he'll do it for me, right? You did it for Rafael. Maybe he'll do it for me. So they're going to see it, and then they'll be like, he is a real person. She is a real person. I trust them that if I reach out, they will respond. So I encourage you to do that for your show, is to keep that conversation going, because once you get feedback, it just gets bigger and faster and more and bigger. And it grows as you have more people reach out to you. And that's a really great feeling when you look in your email and you see a listener email question or comment, because when you first record, you don't know who your audience is. You're recording and you send it into the world and you're like, is anyone listening? I don't know. Does anyone care about my podcast? I don't know. And for me, when I first started my show, I get 5 listens, I get 10 listens, and I'm like, people are listening. And then I can see where they are in the world. The people in Puerto Rico are listening to my show. I'm like, this is amazing, right? So you get excited, but when you get an email or you get a voice message, you're like, what is going on? This is great. So when you reached out, I was like, oh, I have to respond. This is great. So
yes, I listened. I listened what you that small episode that you did.
See?
Oh my God, I was what? What is this? Actually, my son. I sent it to my son, and he was like, wow, what you're doing is in Canada. So
See?
I mean, a person from Canada, he knows about you, right?
Yeah.
Said that day from Canada is, he answered your email. You're going to be in the show. Oh my God. Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what we can do over, the internet and the podcasts. I've never been to Canada, not yet, but still, talking with somebody from Canada and you from Puerto Rico also. I mean, can you imagine? It's just great. It's just great.
Okay, so before we go any further, Rafael, we have other listeners in Puerto Rico who listen to the show, and I would love to to make their minds go crazy right now by having you welcome them to the show in a way that I can't do, only you can do. Can you say hello to the other listeners who are listening in Puerto Rico right now? Welcome them to the
Oh,
podcast.
okay. Muy bien. You want me to say something in
Yeah,
Spanish then
sure.
for that?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, pues yo soy Rafael de el podcast Student Athlete Spotlight. Es un podcast que va una vez a la semana y se le da la oportunidad a todos los estudiantes que quieren ir a estudiar a Estados Unidos, a hacer deporte y a hacer su carrera profesional. Y los invito a todos a que escuchen el Student Athlete Spotlight. Sale al aire todos los jueves lo pueden escuchar. Están todos invitados para que lo escuchen y se unan y se atrevan también a hacer su propio podcast. Así que bienvenidos y vamos a estar escuchando.
Just like that. There we go.
Just
So
like
now
that.
they're listening going, he's talking to me. So
Right.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's a global community, right? In podcasting.
It is. It is.
You and I can have a conversation like this. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. So that's what I love about podcasting. You get to meet great people. Again, I have time with you. Like, how would we have ever met, Rafael? If it wasn't for a podcast, how would we have met?
I don't know.
Probably never.
Never. Right? Probably never.
So that's what I love about this is I get time with you. I get to listen to your show and to know that we can have a friendship through a podcast, just with a microphone and some headphones. We can have a friendship. That is the best part of podcasting for me.
Definitely. Yeah. Very good.
It's exciting. Okay. So from the podcast episodes you've been listening through, and I truly appreciate that. I love seeing Puerto Rico in my stats. That's amazing to me. Is anything exciting for you from the podcast that you're like, this really, really helped me kind of shape my show or give me direction that we haven't talked about? Was there anything else that you heard on the show? Because I want to do more of that. I want to help more people. Is there anything else that really helped you in your journey as a podcaster?
Yes. I have to say that every time that I listen one of your episodes, not just that I learned something different, like, okay, what I'm doing, I'm in the correct path, right? I'm not the only one that is doing this, that I'm or making this mistake, or this is kind of normal at the beginning, because like I mentioned at the beginning, you probably think that I need to buy specific equipment or anything. Then when you listen people, and also you're saying you can just start it with your cell phone. That's your first equipment. And then you listen to that first episode made just in your small cell phone. It sounds great. And then you say, okay, I'm doing it good. And then that's the first one. The other thing is that every podcast, every episode that you have, you keep, encourage us what to do, how to do. Like I said before, you mentioned something about for not going to the buffet. So I remember that very clear, And then the other thing about the pen, just recently you mentioned about the average schedule for the 52 weeks,
Yeah.
That has a reason. That's why we should do that. And once you have all, in your schedule, it's going to help you. Otherwise, you can probably go crazy and forget probably some steps. And it's very important to keep that in mind every day, every week, every time that you are doing an episode, right?
Right.
The other thing is, at the beginning, probably you mentioned about doing seasons.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I didn't have any idea, okay, how many episodes and how many, like, continuously doing it. And then I remember you saying, have like seasons, and then it's your podcast. You can decide how many episodes you want to have in each one.
Yeah.
So I made up my mind. They are students. They're going to be busy. They're going to be busy. So at the beginning, they're busy because they're just starting, a new life in college, and then at the end, they are in their final test exams.
Yeah.
So I cannot have them doing an interview because they're busy doing their thing, and
Yeah.
I have to respect that.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, and I told them every time that I have the opportunity to talk to them, because you also mentioned that helped me a lot. If you have a specific date to record with them, have a chat with them a day or two before that interview,
Yeah.
just to listen to them and let them know what we're going to talk about. I also asked them, okay, is there any topic that you don't want me to ask you?
Yeah.
Because I don't want you making you comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And very important, let them know it's all about you, not me. This is going to be your episode, right? So I learned that from you. You mentioned that. You said that, and I was taking notes about those steps, to
Yeah.
follow those, and it's going to be observed. I was doing like check in every episode, in every episode or every pre-interview.
Yeah.
I was doing that, so I wanted to be sure that that to skip, not to skip one.
Yeah.
Although it happens to me at the beginning, I forgot something, but that's okay. That's
Yeah.
part of the process, right?
Yeah.
So just doing for me, I mean, for us, all that we are, listening to you, keep doing what you're doing, because we're learning.
I appreciate that.
We are
Yeah.
learning a lot.
Yeah.
And I listen to a podcast every week. We're learning. Yeah.
So did you notice what's happening in November this month for the show?
You have a special one about the Buy Me a Coffee.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So
that's coming soon.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm encouraging you to set that up. And then when it's all set up, I want you to do a speak pipe message to me, record a voice message, tell me again about your show, and then tell me your Buy Me a Coffee link.
Right.
There's a reason why I want you to do that.
Okay.
And if you do what I'm asking you to do, you will find out why I'm asking you to do it. Okay. That's all I'm going to tell you. You have to do it.
Right.
Yeah. It's buymeacoffee.com. Right. It's free for you to sign up. It doesn't cost any money.
Right.
And then you'll get a link. You create your link. So it'll be buymeacoffee.com. And then we have the /. Mine is True Media CA. True Media CA. And so if you go buymeacoffee.com /True Media CA.
CA, right?
Yeah. That's my link. And then people can go there and they can select and buy me a coffee. And I had somebody this week, they bought me 25 $5 coffees.
Right.
25 of them. That's a lot of money. And it was somebody that was listening to the show. And I'm like,
right.
What?
Where did that come from? Right.
So I want you to set it up because I want to do something for you.
Okay.
I'm giving you a hint. I'm giving you a tip to set it up so I can do this for you. Okay. But the other thing we're happening in November is I'm doing an episode every day in the month of November. That's 30 episodes of How to Podcast every month from November 1st to November 30th. Every day, an episode every day.
Wow.
So that's a lot. That's 30 episodes in a row. So there's a lot of episodes coming to you this month. And it's part of a thing called National Podcast Post Month. And the challenge is for podcasters to do an episode every day in the month of November. So I have 2 shows that are doing that. That means I have 60 episodes in November for 2 podcasts. And I still have 5 other podcasts on top of that. So normally we do an episode every week.
Right.
That's 52 episodes a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing 60 in a month.
Oh my
I'm
God.
doing
I don't
all
know how you do
year
that.
in 1 month. And
I
I work.
know.
I work too. So I'm not
I
just
know.
doing this. I work all night as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love podcasting. I love doing this. So that's why I keep coming to the microphone. What makes you come to the microphone and do this? Why is this important to you?
Well, I remember I have a couple of students, friends of my son, talking about their experiences, going to college. And that was one of the things that gave me an idea. I said, probably there are all other students that want to hear from this, because every one of them have a little, their story is different. Some struggles are different. And I said, I think that they don't have like a place, because I know about other uh, podcasts about this. But then I remember you saying yours is going to be unique because it is you, you know. But I gonna be honest, at what time I said, am I gonna be another one? I said no, but I remember I said no. Just probably is gonna you're gonna find 10, 12, 20, whatever. But this one is gonna be different because it's you. And then I started listening to the other ones before launching mine, because I didn't want it to do the same thing.
Mm.
Because sometimes we can do something without knowing, and it's the same thing that they're doing,
Yeah.
right? And then I I put some notes about, okay, this one, mine is gonna begin doing this. This is how we're gonna start the podcast. This is how we're gonna finish it, because I don't want it to be as same as the other ones, right?
Yeah.
After the two episodes, I have feedback from them saying, actually, it is live. Not they they say some they said they mentioned this in the same podcast. He said, "Thank you, Rafael, because talking to you in this interview gave me the opportunity, because sometimes as a student we want to say things and share to other ones, but I didn't have the opportunity, or I didn't have the guts to do that.
Mm.
Just talking to you in this interview, I even mentioned my family about how proud I am and how proud they are about me doing this, going away from home,
Yeah.
start a college career, and so and so. And they cannot wait for the family to listen to that episode. And I was like, wow, this I like, that they felt comfortable sharing their ideas. And
Mm.
that was also, or it is one of the reasons of the podcast, that I mentioned in the podcast about um, seniors in high school. They are learning the process just listening to the show,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
And I like that, because I just like to help. I just something that I like to do.
Yeah. It's
And
great.
I know that doing this podcast, they have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's great. And again, I
Um,
love your show. I love what you're doing. And you're right. Your podcast is unique because it is you, and you're
mhm,
the only you in the world. I can't do your show.
mhm,
There's no way I can do your show.
mhm,
You're the only
mhm,
one who can do it. So that's what I love about podcasting is we get to create what we want, and there's no one telling us no. You can't do that. No. You're the wrong
mhm.
microphone. No. You have to be in a studio. No. You can't record in your car. No. Like you
No.
can do whatever you want. You can't use your phone. Yes, I can. Right? You can do whatever you want, and there's no one telling you that you can't. And that's what I
Mhm,
love about podcasting. Everyone can be a podcaster. And the hardest thing is to start. That's the hardest thing. And I think if we can build a community of people around the world who are brave enough to start their show,
Right.
to push record, to do their best and get their voice into the world, it's amazing. So
It
I'm
is.
so happy to have you listening to the show and part of our little family here at How to Podcast, because that makes me happy. That makes me want to record another episode, knowing
Mhm.
that you're going to listen and others will listen. That gives me inspiration and makes me want to record. So thank you, first of all, for listening to my show. That means so much to me. You have no idea. It's so amazing. And then when I see your emails and I see your voice messages come in, it just gives me a lot of joy as
Mhm.
a host
Mhm.
of a podcast. So you're making me want to keep going by just listening. So anytime you have a chance to do this with a listener, do this, because you're going to, as a host, it will fill you up and make you and give you inspiration, and you want to do more because you have
Right.
this happening, right? So
Right.
thank you for doing this for me.
Right. 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 Well, I can just say the same. You are helping me. You're helping everybody that is listening to your podcast. Also, like I said before, every week we are learning, and we just follow you what you're teaching us.
I love it.
So it's just great. It's just great. And the other thing is that every time, I mean, we just finish our first season, and I can just I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The first season is done. Now we have a break. We're getting ready to new interviews for season two, and we're gonna be doing the same thing. The idea is the same, but we have now I can say that I have 13 episodes experience. Woo! And then that will help me not to make the same mistakes, and then probably gonna have new ones for
Oh, you
that
will.
could happen. Uh, but like I said, it's part of the process, and it's just so fun. I mean, it's just great. And now I have 13 new friends out there, and actually, a couple of them we text every week. And there was one guy that said, "How do you find me?" And I said, "I saw a game. I saw you playing on the internet. That game, you had two goals, two." They said, "What? And you were looking at it?" I said, "Yeah, I saw you playing." And then I I I text him. I go to the webpage in the universities or colleges, and then I go to roster, and then I I look at the name, and then I hopefully that they have their handle in Instagram, and then I send them a text.
Hey,
It's an invitation
yeah.
to be in podcast. Some of them answer fast. Some others take 3 days or probably a week or two, but that's part of the process, right?
Nice.
And I have now, like I said, 13 new friends out there studying. And I also um, answer the other listeners, not the people not the students that I interviews, but listeners putting thumbs up about the podcast. And you said that it is important to reply to let them know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. And also, I'm going to ask you. Um, it is important to have the listeners, not just the interviewers, but the listeners to not just to listen, but to subscribe, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
I'm kind of lost in that area.
Okay. Yeah, we have to
So
talk. We have to say it a lot so people remember, because some people don't remember. So some of the apps will call it a follow. Some will call it a subscribe. And the idea then is, if they do that, every time you release a new episode, it automatically a copy goes to them.
Oh, those I
So,
have. Okay. Yeah,
so
those
that's
I
that.
have. The following. Yeah. Those I have.
Yeah. So that's the same as subscribe.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like in podcast is following or followers, and then probably YouTube is subscribe, isn't it?
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So those I have. I cannot mention how many, but I
Yeah.
know there's a couple out there.
That's good. And you want to encourage that, right? Because then you know that they're going to get an episode. On my phone, I follow or subscribe to many podcasts. So I get all of their episodes every time they come in.
Automatically.
But there's sometimes I have more episodes than I can listen to. So sometimes
yes.
you'll know. Sometimes I actually don't actually hear their episode, but I've downloaded it. It's come to me. So it counts for them as a listen, as a download, but I didn't hear the episode because I got too busy and I remove, right? So I didn't even listen. But you get credit that I have a copy.
Right.
So did they hear my episode? No. Did they download it? Yes.
Right.
But they never listened. So that's where your numbers get a little funny is I download your episode. I don't listen. I delete, but it shows that I downloaded it. So it looks like a listen, but could I tell you what you talked about? No, I have no idea because I deleted it. So that's where people get all very busy about numbers and I get lots of numbers. Sometimes those numbers mean nothing because they never listened. So don't worry so much about that. Worry more about building this kind of relationship with a listener where you know them by name. So when I go to record next time, I'm going to be thinking of Rafael as I'm recording. I'm thinking of you and what would I say to you? And then instead of talking to whatever, I'm talking to you. I'm thinking of you when I'm speaking. So that's more important to me than having 100,000 listens.
Right.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means, right?
No.
Just keep going forward and keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a great job, Rafael.
Oh, thank you. Good to hear that from you. One other thing.
Sure.
Student Ali Spotlight, right? Which is this my podcast. Right now it's on Spotify, also Google.
Yep.
And then Amazon. I'm so happy that it's also in Amazon. And then Apple.
Good.
Okay. I know that you mentioned something about Apple, that it's like in Europe is a big thing, but not necessarily. No, it's a big thing in the state, but not necessarily in Europe.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that did not concern me. That's fine. But what I do have is there's no way. I mean, right now it's not listening in available in Apple. I don't know. They just don't. And then I send the what's the name RSS.
Yep.
The RSS to Google, Amazon, and it opens right away. It was available right away, but then Apple is not there yet. But that's fine.
Okay.
I mean,
sometimes they take time. Yeah.
Okay. So what other? Because there's a lot of other places to go to. So the plan is that for season 2, it could be available to others.
Yeah. So there's Samsung, the telephone, Samsung phones. You can actually put your podcast there on Samsung because on a Samsung phone, there's actually a podcast app on Samsung.
Okay.
So that's the place you need to be. You can give them your RSS feed one time and give it to them and they're done. There's a AfriPods, AFRIPODS, AfriPods.
Okay.
It's in Africa. And they're looking for English speaking podcasts in Africa.
Nice.
So that's a podcast app only in Africa. There's also 2 in India. There's a whole list of different places that you can put your podcast, including now YouTube, where YouTube will pull in your podcast, just like Apple, just like Audible, just like AfroPods. It'll pull into YouTube as part of a listening app for podcasts. So that's new as well. It's rolling out to different countries. And in Canada, I have 6 of my 7 podcasts are now connected directly to YouTube. So every time I release an episode, automatically goes to YouTube right away. I don't have to do anything. It's all connected. So that's another spot where we can get you set up as well.
There's one that is called, I know that the logo is red. I think red and black and radio something, but I can't remember.
iHeartRadio? iHeartRadio, yep. You want to be there as well.
Okay. Let me just write this down because but I do this for season 2. iHeartRadio.
Well, the nice thing is season 1 will also then show up there at the same time, right?
Oh, yes.
It'll pick up all of them. Yep, because your RSS feed includes everything, not just what's most recent. It'll have. So if you look at my show, episode 1, all the way through to episode 190, they're all there for all the different players. So I talked to somebody today before we talked, and they went all the way back to episode 1, and they've been listening 1, 2, 3, all the way. And they're like, it's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot of episodes.
So all of your episodes will be everywhere once you connect your RSS. So what I'll do is I'll send you an email, and it'll have link for all the different places that I have my podcast.
That will be great.
I have pictures of the computer screen to show you what to do. Click here, type this, and you're all done. Okay? So I'll send you a copy of that. And just follow the steps. And if you get stuck, reach out and then we can work together. And I'll get you set.
Yeah. Now I have your email, the correct one.
Yep. There you go. And then we'll make sure your show is everywhere.
Oh, that's nice. That's thank you. I'm gonna be checking on that. Very good.
Awesome.
Very good. Yeah. So for season 2, the student outlet spotlight is gonna be in everywhere.
World famous. World famous.
Yeah. Very good. Awesome. So Dave, what's you mentioned about yours. But it's going to happen in November, and then December is the one for Christmas. That's just great. You mentioned, I know that I haven't listened yet. You have a podcast about, it's for parenting?
Yes.
About parenting?
Yeah.
And then, and then funny thing that it was made for men, but your listeners are women.
More than men.
Yep. More than men.
I don't even know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just great.
65% right now. 65, more than half are listening to my dad's space podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
so I keep doing it. I keep talking to men, but there's women coming. So that's another thing. People get very nervous about having a small audience. Like, I want to talk to a small group of people, narrow it down. We talk about niche or niche, whatever you want to say. Canada, we say niche, but we niche down, we niche down. We're afraid if we go too small, some people won't be listening. But even though I niche down to talk to men, women are listening to my dad's space podcast. So it doesn't mean that they're not welcome. It just means I'm talking to this group of people, but anyone can listen. I want as many people to listen as possible, but I'm going to keep talking to men. Now, if the women are finding value in me talking to men on Dad Space,
it's just fine.
That's great.
Awesome.
I want them to come.
Right. And then you keep doing it that way because that's the direction of that specific podcast.
Yeah.
Right. We cannot go and talk about everything thinking that everybody's gonna listen. No, you have to be directly to this is the what I'm gonna talk about. And every time that a person go to your podcast knows about your topic. What are you
Yeah.
going to talk about?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And that's why I like your show. You're not talking to every sports person
No.
around the world, professional, amateur, students,
Mm-hmm.
coaches.
Right.
You're talking to a certain group of people as guests,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but that makes you different than another sports theme show, right? Which
Actually,
is unique.
Actually, I have dads, moms and dads listening to the podcast.
See, good.
They told me, and they are following. Those are following.
So a good question for you in your podcast. Near the end of your podcast with your guest, try this. Say to your guest, I know your family is listening to your episode today on my show, and I'm so happy they're here listening. Your mom, your dad, your family. What is your special message to your family before we close? And then let them say a message to their family, because maybe they're away from home. They're at a different city. They're far from their family. What message do you want to give to your family? So then they get to say to my dad, to my mom, to my sister, my brother, my grandfather, thank you, right? That gives them a personal moment to talk to their family on the podcast. And imagine how excited the family will be to hear their son or daughter say, I thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mother. Thank you to my brothers and sisters. That's such a meaningful moment for them to do that. And then you just be quiet and let them talk, right? Because that's their moment with their family. So I would do that near the end of the show, the end of the episode. And what I like to do, Rafael, before we go, I know we kept you a long time, is I say, Rafael, before we go, where's your website? You tell me your website, the name of your show. And then I say, before you answer, I have one more question at the end, but tell us where your website is. Okay. And then so you do your website, your social media, you do all that stuff. And my listeners know that I have one more question. One more, right? After you're done about your website, I come back and I say, Rafael, what would be your message to your family that are listening to the podcast? How important is it for your family to encourage you and to be there for you as you're away from home at school? What message do you have for them? And then leave the episode like that. Let them answer the question and then say, thank you for being part of my podcast. And you're done. Because that's such a nice moment where you as a host get to do something nice for the family. Right? So
it is.
Yeah. So think about maybe adding that maybe in season 2 somewhere.
That I'm gonna say it the way that you said. I love it.
I love it.
No, very, very good. What I do in the podcast is at the end I ask them to tell them what will be your message for student athletes in high school that they should do. Tell them something to student high school in high school to become student athletes in college. That's in the student athlete spotlight. That's like the final question, or
Good.
It's just that. However, this is just great. Also, I haven't thought about that one for this specific topic about tell something to your family that are listening. That reminds me, I have a student from Australia, and I was like, "Whoa, from Australia!" So that gives me the opportunity. That was the first one from Australia, and that gave me the opportunity to ask them how was that process, because it's totally different from the one in the States. She was the first in the family to go to the States to study, and they were crying at the airport, and it was just amazing. It was just different. I have another student that came up from um, Central America without uh, without the knowledge even to speak English, and he was brave enough to go to the States, and that was because his mom was was the one that encouraged him to go, and do that and be better, and look up for not just for him but the family, and this same student has two siblings. I believe his brother and sister, younger ones, and now they want to go also to the States and follow the his brother's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Isn't that just great? They're
It's amazing.
they're far away, but uh, I mean, someone has to be the first one, and go and do that.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that, and he said the first time that I came to the States, I didn't know anybody or nothing, and the coach was driving the car like 2 hours, probably 3 hours, going to university, and I was very scared. What am I doing? I don't know nobody here, but I mean, those are the kind of experiences that we're sharing in the podcast, in the Student Athlete Spotlight.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just great.
Rafael, I love having you on to chat about your show. And again, thank you for listening to my podcast. It makes me so happy to have time to talk with you. And I know I've had you for a long time, so I want to say thank you. And I just want to encourage you to keep podcasting. You're doing a great job. And
Thank you.
I am proud to know that I had a small piece in you having a podcast. And I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait for season 2, 3, season 50, season 100. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing to watch your journey. So keep me in mind when you are a big, fancy, famous, world famous podcaster. Don't forget little Dave who is there. Okay. When you're famous. Okay.
I won't. We're going to keep in touch.
All right.
Yeah.
Everyone. All the information's in the show notes to go and check out Rafael's amazing podcast. And I would encourage you to listen, like, share, follow, subscribe. Send him a coffee when he has his Buy Me a Coffee set up. I would love for you to encourage Rafael and to support him in his podcast journey. I'm reaching out to all of the How to Podcast family listeners right now. I'm asking you to go and support Rafael in his podcast. And Rafael, I really appreciate having you here.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. I cannot, doing this, cannot believe that I'm here talking to you. Like I said, listening to you for almost a year now. And thanks to you for what you're doing with your knowledge and everything, sharing it with the rest of the world. And that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing here, doing this. So it's just great. It's
amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. All the information in the show notes, everyone listening. And Rafael, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for having me. So again, thank you, Dave. Thank you.
All right.
Bye now.
So we're done again with the Out of Podcast series for this episode. Really appreciate you being here for episode 195. 195 episodes plus the Daily Daves. Oh, there's a lot of episodes here. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying it. And you're here. If this is your first time here, first of all, wow, you have a lot of homework to do. And I'm happy to be your homework study buddy and help you with your podcast journey at howtopodcast.ca. But there's a lot of content. If you go back and scroll through and keep scrolling, there's a lot of episodes here. And what I love and what my co-hosts have mentioned often is they love the variety of voices that come on this show. It's not just Dave. You know, there's nothing like a good Dave to help you start your day, but to hear from all these amazing people from around the world who are now podcasting because of this little show. That is so rewarding and so encouraging. So I'm encouraging you now to think about how you can create a world where your audience can talk to you. Do you have that in place? Because I would love for you to do that. If you need help setting that up, reach out to me. I'd love to help you with your website, with your engagement with your audience. It goes beyond just the how to start your show. There's a lot of things that go into podcasting. And if you're looking for somebody to be your study buddy, I am here. And I would love to help you over at howtopodcast.ca. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being part of the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.